Hello. So I wanted to share some news that is happening in my life. As some of my close friends probably know, I moved back to the States after living in Europe, specifically in southern Spain, for most of the time I was there. And while living there, I went through a lot of lessons and um, a lot of challenging periods, a challenging period while I was living through it, but now kind of having some time has passed and I've been able to bring a clearer light to what I lived through. And yeah, so I was living there and I left very suddenly. I felt called to leave a relationship that I was part of while I was there, and I felt like things were out of alignment for me, and I needed to come back into my own alignment. And the best way for me to do that at the time was to walk away, was to leave. And so I packed my things, and as soon as I had the clarity of that insight, and I left, and that was it. Very clear and in alignment with my heart and my truth and what felt good for me, for my own well-being, for my own peace of heart and mind. I needed to leave for the space, and it was a good decision for me. It was a good choice. So I left, and then a few days thereafter, I left for Portugal, where I visited one of my very dear friends of many years, Ines, and she had recently had a baby, and she, shortly after she was pregnant, her partner kind of like really shifted in some of his behaviors and kind of did this complete 180. Things that she hadn't seen early on in the relationship, all of a sudden things started to surface. And she felt like for her own health and her well-being and the baby's well-being, it was important for her to return to a space that was more nurturing and good for her. And so she returned to the home where she grew up with her mother, which I can attest is a very lovely place. And she welcomed me with open arms into her home, and I got to be there with this new little baby, new life. And it was an incredibly beautiful time in my life to, be able to be really present for the baby and caring for him. We ended up deciding to travel to the Azores. There was a big permaculture gathering happening there, and we were going to be part of this and helping out and supporting the effort. And so with this brand new tiny little baby, she and I set off from Portugal and flew to the Azores together and spent some time there. And after we spent some time there, it was really beautiful in a lot of ways, and also certain aspects of community dynamics turned out to be challenging for us. And where she was staying, also there was like a dampness and a mold issue, and the baby would wake up choking and having a lot of difficulty breathing. And so she felt like for his own safety, she was very concerned and very emotional about it. She ended up going back to the mainland. And so for me, what surfaced after that, like I'd felt like such a strong sense of purpose with the two of them and caring for the baby and connecting. She was my connection there, coming to the island and this permaculture gathering. And when they left, it was like it left this big gaping hole within me, like, something really integral in my life left all of a sudden. And I felt that absence. And so I had to decide, do I continue here? on my own with this gathering, or what do I do? And I ended up getting very sick also. I have celiac disease, and community kitchens can be kind of hit or miss, challenging for me. I have to take a lot of cautions. And something got cross-contamination. I got very ill, and I decided, I reached out to my family in the States, and they were like, oh, please come home, please come home. They knew that I was having some health challenges, and that I'd been away for so long, they hadn't seen me, and so they were so eager when they found out that I was going to come home, and I was going to meet my sister's baby and finally see the family after over a year of not seeing them. And so I returned to the States, and it hasn't been time until now for me to even consider returning to Spain, where I still have all of my belongings. I left Spain for Portugal with very little, just some light summer clothes and a backpack, and that was it. And so all of my belongings have been remaining there. Two different places, one at my friend's house and one at another place in Spain. And I've been here in the States, and I don't really have clothes. I mean, it's fine, but I have a lot of my kind of meaningful things for me that I left there that is important that I return for. And I haven't felt ready to return because of all that I went through there. It was a very challenging, trying place for my moved through a lot of emotions, a lot of a challenging relationship periods. It was challenging at times, and I still have a lot of love there. There's no question. That is all love and gratitude for all of the lessons and everything that was shared. And I know that for myself, what I went through was challenging. And so I feel ready now because, I've had all of these outer journeys now in the world. I traveled to Portugal and to the islands, the Azores, off the coast of Portugal, and I traveled to Mexico, traveled here in the States, and I've done a lot of inner travel as well within myself to clarify things for myself and understand how I got myself into certain situations and certain relationships, certain situations, certain ways of being, and I've come to a lot of clarity around that, and I feel like significant shifts have happened in myself to open the way for me to go back and return to this chapter of my life that kind of it's like I pushed the hold button for a little while and just gonna have to wait. I'm gonna put you on hold. I'm gonna go work on myself for a while, and now I can return with an open heart and open mind. I can go and shine this bright light onto this past chapter of my life and really just bring a lot of love and a lot of compassion for myself and just all of the behaviors that I was in there, all of the thought streams that I was in, these old thought streams that I'm aware I don't have to be in that place anymore, and it didn't serve me, and I got myself into these situations. And so just shining a lot of light to transmute some of the heaviness that I went through So yeah, it's a significant kind of rite of passage in a way, and in my life, to return back to this chapter that I needed to just like say no to and push away for a little while. Now, rather than pushing away and feeling angst about it, I can accept it and I can integrate it. I can have compassion for it. So just coming into a place of harmony with it and self-understanding as well. And so, yeah, I'm really excited for this trip, like feeling really good about it now. It's been a process, and yeah, going back to reclaim my things, gather my things, and also see some friends that I had while I was there. And just have fun generally, you know, just enjoy myself while I'm there. And also I will hopefully have the opportunity, because I fly out of Madrid, to connect to some spiritual community there as well. So I'm in the process of getting those contacts so that, yeah, so that connection can be made. Because part of my spiritual community is there, so that will be really beautiful if I can connect with some of them. And I also wanted to share some important lessons that I learned from